All right, welcome to week 9. This is the week before spring break. This week we're dealing with chapter 8 on interest groups. This is an important chapter. Like the previous chapter on political parties, interest groups comprise a really important intermediary institution. These are institutions that help individuals kind of articulate their self-interests and their needs. There are a variety of different kinds of, different views of interest groups. Kind of the pluralist approach is the idea that interest groups have a tendency to counterbalance one another and to preserve sort of a decentralized approach to politics. The elitist view is captured in this in the idea of E. E. Schattschneider, who basically said the flaw in the pluralist universe is that it speaks with a strongly upper class accent. And what that suggests is that there are a lot more barriers for low-income Americans to identify and to form and to create the kind of organizational infrastructure that you need in order to create an interest group. So what kind of interests tend to be represented? I think the text does a good job of laying out the fact that economic interest groups, both on the left and the right, tend to be much more coherent and strongly organized. On the progressive end of the spectrum, you have a lot of labor unions. On the right end of the spectrum, you have big management corporations and things like that. Interest groups basically rely on money and access to try and advance their interests. Money is an important aspect through lobbying and doing other things. With money you can really expand your voice in American politics, is something that we discovered in earlier chapters. And also lobbyists, right? A lot of people that leave Congress end up becoming lobbyists. First and foremost, because they have access to members of Congress. They know those people, and they can get in the door, which is something that is very important. Interest groups are different from political parties in that interest groups are far more interested in influencing policy as opposed to parties. They want to control offices. They want to control institutions. Interest groups care less about controlling institutions than they do about influencing the direction of policy. It's also important to keep in mind, interest groups are sort of component parts of the political parties. I think you can look at our political parties as sort of alliances, loose confederations of different interest groups. It's important to keep in mind that the number of interest groups has dramatically expanded in recent years, and that there are a lot more, the politics surrounding interest group activity is a lot more contentious. So hopefully we'll learn a lot over the course of this week. Remember, this is the week before the spring break. Your second unit test is due by 11:55 on Sunday, which is the 14th, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah, I think it is. So let's have a great week, have a good discussion, and I'll see you in the forums.